Alright, in this video, I'm going to be replacing the clutch with the whole entire kit, the Z1 kit, replacing the clutch fork, clutch line, a couple other things as well, because my clutch has blown from last drift event. Should probably give my wheels a little bit of cleaning too, because they're super dirty. So I took off the trim piece and that little metal piece. I don't know if there's some sealant or what, or if it just was crushed. I couldn't quite get these bolts on the exhaust going under the drive shaft, so I skipped those, went to the back. The dude chopped off the muffler back here. So there's only 2 exhaust hangers, popped it down on the box with other parts in it. And I was able to get to these bolts. I needed to add some heat to it, but I was able to get to them, so now I can slide it off and get the exhaust off. Alright, I got the drive shaft removed now. There's a lot more room for activities under here. I need to take out all the wiring harnesses out of the way, unbolt it, and I think I should be good after that. I got my slave cylinder off and it in fact is leaking, so I ordered one whenever I noticed it the first time, so it should be on the way here soon and I should be able to put it on before the event. This boot is so swelled up. Stay on there, it just slips right on and slips right off. I'm gonna tuck it to the side and make sure we don't worry about it. I also got a replacement for this clutch line. I think I got the small one that came with the clutch kit. I got the longer one as well to replace the hard line, so I don't think I'm going to be using the small one, but it's to get rid of the mushy clutch pedal, because there's like a little valve inside of there that will restrict the clutch fluid. And I also will try and wrap this heat wrap around it, but I might get some new one if that doesn't work. If zip ties don't fix it. So there's like this plate on this driver's side of the transmission. It looks like where a starter will go. I don't know if you can really see it right here, but the starter's on this side. So I guess you can have a starter on that side on this transmission. I believe I have all of the transmission bolts out. I got them all laid down on a cardboard box, so I know the orientation of which way they go and which bolts go where, because some are 14s and 17s, and I think they're different lengths as well. I'm gonna take out this crank sensor probably. That is all gunked up. Holy smokes. If you look up in this little hole, you can see clutch disc material. I don't know if you can see that. How great. I'm curious to see how bad my clutch is now, because it engages and I can go into first gear, but I can't use first gear. But I'm in it, my clutch is off or my foot is off the clutch and I'm completely in first gear, but something came apart. I think I'm ready to pull off this brace that's attached to the exhaust and this back one that's holding up the back of the trans, and see if I can get it out. Pull back a little bit, try and do that with the jack. Okay, stop, hold on. Yeah, let's pull out a little bit more.
Oh, she's leaking.
No! Good. Alright, stop. Yep. You're good, keep going.
Okay, just tell me when to stop.
You're good, keep it going. We're home. Drop it.
All the way?
So I have an Exetti clutch inside of here apparently. But I wonder if that was the failure point or if another point was the failure point. I'm not too sure.
Who knows?
Yeah, so this clutch was coming apart. So this is the G35 clutch, and this thing is all torn apart, and it's super thin compared to my new one. It's a huge difference. The whole entire clutch is the thickness of one side. I'm trying to figure out what flywheel is in the car. I'm gonna take it off because I have a new one, but I don't know if it was a whole G35 kit or what. But the flywheel on the car looks like it got super hot as well. The whole flywheel on the outside of it looks like it got super hot too, so this thing was not happy. I don't have a flywheel stopper, so I'm having problems removing my flywheel, but while I'm here I noticed that my tensioner bolt was loose, and I've been tightening it now after I loosened this bolt right here, and now I'm able to adjust it, but it's been screeching on startup. Just adjusting this, tightening it, and then tightening up that bolt up there. I got a big ratchet going to the crankshaft pulley bolt that's stopping on the tire. Hopefully that'll be enough to get this off. I think I have an G35 lightweight flywheel too, because see 2D02 NF04. There's an G35 lightweight flywheel with NF04 for the Focus, but has a bunch of heat spots on it. It's not even. But I wonder if I can get this resurfaced and just keep it, or if I should just get rid of it. I'm not gonna figure that out right now, but might be good to find out. I got the release bearing and the clutch fork off, and it is so crusty inside of here. You can see pieces of clutch material. Alright, so I got my upgraded clutch fork, and I got the spring right here that goes inside for the pivot ball that I got, the chromoly one specifically. And I was looking at the spring, wherever it went. I was looking at the spring that went on this one, and it went in facing like this, and it's kind of curved a little bit, so I'm going to try and, it's curving outwards, so I'm going to try and match the curve on this piece that goes inside of there and have it be pushed in like this, because there's no way of telling, there's no directions. I tried looking online and it seemed like that would be the right way, so I get it down in there and push it on. Drained out the master cylinder. Whenever I'm loosening up this nut down here, I put a bunch of towels down there. You don't want brake fluid going all over everything because it's going to ruin your paint and destroy everything. Got it unhooked from the bottom. There's a clip up top as well that I got it unhooked from. I decided to unplug a couple other connectors and move them out of the way from the ABS unit. Now I should be able to adjust. And there we go. I'm gonna reuse this rubber grommet because I don't have any grommet to go inside this bare hole right here. Nor do I want it to rub it and cause a hole. I'm gonna try and wrap it around the same route if I can. I got the grommet all installed, so now I can pull this and move it in and out without it being scratched. We got 2 new washers and a banjo bolt for the new clutch line. And I think the best routing is going to be with the bend going downwards. I need to get a washer on the other side of that, and then a washer on this side like this. So you want them sandwiched like this, and you thread it on. So I realized that I have to reroute this because I don't have enough room to go over there. I wasn't realizing that I'm deleting this line as well. So I need to reroute this and go through that little hole down there along the firewall. And I should have enough room, so I'm gonna flip this and make it bending downwards, so it's gonna be not as much of a harsh bend up top, and I should have enough room. But yeah, I didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to be going through here. Alright, I got it all routed now. We got the old mount out, and we got the new. Since these holes are slided on the mount, I'm probably just going to set it up flush over here, like the old one was, and if it doesn't fit whenever I put it in, then I'll adjust this. I got the pilot bearing removal tool installed. I'm gonna remove this old pilot bearing. The old pilot bearing has a little bit of play on it, but not too much. But the new one does not have really any play. I don't know why I was using a freaking mallet. I have no idea why. This is what was holding me up. The rear oil pan seal, I believe is what this is called. I believe we want to put some sealant on this, or whatever sealer you're going to use, and then put it up on there. And there's a little notch as well for it to sit. I got the bottom seal all glued up in there with the sealant that I'm using, and then I got the metal surface with some sealant on there as well. It was a big fight, but I was able to get this in without taking off the oil pan. You just have to slowly feed in the seal with the pocket screwdriver as you walk it in. I started feeding in the bolts as I was in there. I'm gonna lay some sealer all along this just in case. I got everything all sealed up, and I sealed up the outer edges like I did before. Alright, I got it sprayed off as best as I can. And it looks a lot better. I mean, who doesn't like cleaning the outside of their engine? So I got everything all cleaned up inside the transmission, and got the sleeve cleaned up, splines cleaned up, and then everything else cleaned up. Got this all put on. I think I torqued it to 30 foot-pounds is what it was. And then brought this to work, pressed it on. I'm at work and I got the new release bearing, and I got the old one up inside the press. There we go. Time to go on with the new one. I got it all cleaned up in there. Make sure it's flat on all sides. After I got this all cleaned up, I took off the old one. I'm gonna put on the new clip, and the ears should be in the same place. Then there's this little groove inside of here that you need to pack grease inside of. Then you want to put some grease on here as well. Put some grease in the pivot ball, and put some grease where the pivot ball goes. And then put a little bit on the splines. And you need to add some on the ends of the clutch forks on the bare metal part. And install these guys into the springs, and then rotate it around. And then your grease should be greased up on the back ends over there. So you put it in there, and you bring it around. And I was actually using Honda ultra high temp grease, which is what they use for their release bearings and all their other pivot ball and clutch forks and all that stuff. So you want to try and slip the clutch fork end, and as you put on the release bearing, you're going to find the center, and then you'll be able to pop the pivot ball in. You should be able to hear it, and then it'll move in and out. The flywheel also comes with some stuff to prevent grease. So there's some oil on here, but just gotta spray some brake clean on a towel and then wipe it off. So this is a lightweight flywheel from Z1. And I found out that I had a lightweight flywheel inside the car already from Exetti, but the thing is heat spotted and looks horrible. So this has got to go on. And so before you put the flywheel on, there's a dowel right here, and you gotta match that up with this. I got the flywheel all mounted. I'm gonna take out each bolt and then put red Loctite on it, but I wanted to make sure it was seated first, and I didn't want to walk it on with Loctite and then it not be walked on correctly. So I got the dowel in the middle, and I'm gonna put on some Loctite and torque them down. I got my ratchet over there against the crankshaft pulley, the opposite direction of what I did to break it loose, and now it's gonna hold it still for me, and I'm gonna be able to torque the bolts down. I'm gonna go on the star pattern. So I got the standard full face clutch, and it says transmission side. It says transmission side right there, TM. So this is going to go on like that. The transmission is facing the opposite way of the engine. So I'm gonna get the tool, put the clutch on without touching the face of it. And then I'm going to line up the clutch tool inside of it. So the pressure plate will only go on one way, and I'm just been, or you pretty much just try and line it up with the dowels. I got it lined up with this top one, but nothing else lines up, so I'm going to rotate it and try the next one. I can't really get it to rest without taking my hands off of this, so I'm just going to start threading in a bolt so it doesn't pull. Once we got the bolt started in, I'm just going to slowly walk this on. I think you've got to do it in 2 steps, 1 to 14 foot-pounds, and then the second step is 32, I believe. After I walk this thing on a little bit, I'm going to put some red Loctite on each one, and then I'm going to torque it to spec in a star pattern. I'm just going to walk these on a little bit. And each one that I put thread locker on, I just do a little strip like so. And then I rub it in, and that's about it. I know each person has a different way of putting thread locker on, but that's the way that I do it. So we're going to go to 14 on the first one, and then we're going to go to 32. Alright, we got the transmission in last night. I had a couple buddies come over and we all put it in. I'm a couple bolts away from hand tightening everything and then tightening it all back up. But yeah, got it all back in. So after you get the transmission put up, kind of gotta slide it up and over the hole, then bring it over. And I lined up the trans mount good on the sliders because it's not a straight hole, it's like a sliding hole, so you can move it back and forth, but all holes line up, so you should be good. I have all of these hand tied, and since this is a new polyurethane mount, I don't want this to prematurely fail because I over torqued it or didn't torque it enough. So it says 32 to 40 foot-pounds, so I'm just setting it on 40. And these are 32 to 40 as well. This is lined up. I cleaned up the threads on these studs that are inside of here because it's super rusty, and then I put a little bit of grease on it. So next time I do take those off, it's not going to need heat again. And there's these little grommets that fell off of the top part of this that go inside this hole. This piece goes on here like that, and then the little divoted part goes inside here. You got that front brace tight and this all torqued down, and got everything all tight. Now we can lower this. And there's no movement. Get this out from under here. I'm gonna plug in all the wires now and putting in all the brackets. Need to get this fun sensor that plugs in behind here. And it's hard to get to. My crank position sensor is super gunked up. This thing is gross. I'm gonna try cleaning it up with some brake clean and poking some of this stuff out, but I don't want to damage it. Got it looking all better now. Just a little brake clean and a towel. Got a new Nissan slave cylinder. It's always good to compare the part and see if everything matches. Got some .4 fluid right here. Just pouring it in. I plan to bleed the system whenever I have a buddy here. And got the area all cleaned up the best that I could, and we're gonna go in with the drive shaft. I actually changed my mind. I'm gonna bolt up all the shift linkage and stuff so I can have an easier way to get to it without the drive shaft being in the way. There's a little tab right here, and there's a notch right here to line up with. This plate goes this way, and this tab right here is for the reverse lockout, so this needs to be facing towards the passenger side, so that all has to line up. Once you have all these bolts tight, you want to stop yourself, or you want to make sure that this part isn't stopping you from going into gear. There's a boot on the bottom that you need to put on, and then there's this boot with a little arrow pointing towards the front. And this thing goes on the little plate, the arrow as well. Last drift event, I forgot to unplug the yaw sensor, so I didn't have screws in here, but I had to put them back, and hopefully it'll pop back in there. Which it does. And the final touch. This kind of looks like new fluid coming out. It doesn't look dirty. This little pump works wonders. We're dripping out. That's good news. All right, and hold. All right, pump it. All right, hold. All right. I'm just gonna leave it started, and I'm gonna see if there's any leaks at all. And I can as well get it into all the gears. So now it is time for a test drive.